Hi, everybody, and welcome back. I am so excited that you have joined us for the show today because we have two incredible women. It is so hard to become a leader in finance if you are a woman, and we have two today who have done it. One of them is Kimberly Reese. She is the president of Total Care Auto, which is one of the companies of the Larry H. Miller Corporation. And by the way, they own the Utah Jazz and a lot of other wonderful things too. So Kimberly will tell us something about that. Welcome, Kimberly. And we have Brianna Stott. Brianna started her life in wealth management and is now an entrepreneur who owns a company called Finwell Inc., a registered investment advisor in California. And she helps large and small companies and middle and also senior executives to invest their money so they can retire rich and happy. So we love to have both of you here, and I'm delighted to welcome you. I'm Lorraine Siegel. I'm the chairman, CEO, and founder of the Exceptional Women Awardees Foundation. And our mission and my passion is to enable high-level, high-potential women to reach their dreams. Why did we start this foundation? Well, a lot of years ago, 46 to be exact, when I came to the United States, I was clueless. And all throughout my career as a lawyer and then as an entrepreneur and CEO of a number of businesses, I was really needing a mentor and never had one. And even into my board career, never had a mentor. And so I decided to create the foundation with the help of many others in order to enable women who were rising in their careers to be surrounded by other women who walk the road less traveled. And that's exactly what we do. And so let's get right to it. Kimberly, you have an amazing career, but tell us how you started your career in finance.
Oh, absolutely. But first of all, Lorraine, thank you so much for inviting us to be a part of your show tonight. So the first half of my career, I actually spent at a large regional bank focusing primarily on high net worth customers. But I was very fortunate to discover early on in my career that whether I was looking at a corporate tax return or a corporate financial statement, I really enjoyed getting behind the numbers on the paper and converting them into a story. And my ability to do that really helped me become a strategic advisor, and it set a solid foundation for my career in finance.
Yeah, that's terrific. And such good advice for women who are going into a business career. So Brianna, you went into banking. How did you get started in banking? And what led you to think that wealth management would be the right place for you?
Thanks again, Lorraine, for having me. Similarly to Kimberly, I started really young, when I was 19 years old, actually. And I started in a data entry position. I was fascinated with numbers, and a friend of mine referred me into the role. I was interviewed and I accepted the job. From there, I was promoted very quickly because I was intrigued by numbers and intrigued by doing loans for individuals. So I was able to work my way up the corporation into wealth management, where I helped ultra high net worth individuals and their families plan for their futures. I really love helping people, and I found that it wasn't just talking about loans and investment management, but is really understanding how their families worked, what was keeping them up at night, and what mattered most to them, and then conveying it in a message that was well received. So
that's important. That is, you know, when you think about wanting to retire and you've spent your life working since the age of 16, which most of us on this show tonight have, it is extremely important to have somebody that you trust. So, Kimberly, when you think about the way you were promoted, how did that happen? What was the secret sauce that you had in your career that enabled you to be promoted?
You know, looking back at my career, I think one of the things that resonated with each of the promotions is I was willing to do hard things. So I remember being tapped on the shoulder multiple times by a boss or a leader who saw what I had done in my previous position, and they had asked me to do something new. And every time I'd kind of hesitate, but I learned over time to trust them and to trust myself, honestly. And so just being willing to jump in and not be intimidated by the next task or the next role and just jump in and start trying to figure it out. And that was really kind of what really was the theme of my career. So.
Yeah. Brianna, how did you differentiate yourself? Because there are a lot of people in wealth management, and when you've been with very big organizations before you started your own company, what were the differentiating factors for you personally?
I think through the way I worked with individuals, they can tell I cared about them and I cared about what they were trying to achieve. I would break down barriers. When working with an individual, you're asking them really intimate questions about their finances, which a lot of the times directly align with personal matters as well, such as their family dynamics, partnership at a business. And you have to be able to be welcoming when you're asking certain questions in a way that they'll then gladly share the information. And I think being good with people is really important when you're in that profession. And I've learned to be able to be kind and be patient and ask open-ended questions. And that's worked well for me.
Yeah. And, we were talking before the show. I think all three of us went to night school, or were working while we went to school. Kimberly, were you at school doing your degree when you were working?
Oh, I was. So during both my undergraduate degree and when I went back for my master's, I was working full time and balancing a family. So that wasn't easy, but thank goodness I had a wonderful support system, both at home and in the office, that enabled me to do that.
Yeah, that's great. And Brianna, your situation was even more challenging. How did you manage to go to school and work at the same time? It was certainly not easy, I imagine.
I was working more than full time when I first started out, nearly 6 to 7 days a week. I went to night school and I got homework done during lunches and the little time I had after work. It really helped me doing both at the same time because I could directly apply what I learned in a working environment. And so I enjoyed it, even though it was really difficult to do.
Yeah, and look how successful you've become. I'm so proud of you and so happy to have you on the show. So I know that all three of us have never let being a woman be a disadvantage. In fact, we've made it an advantage. So Kimberly, can you think of an example in your life, and Brianna, you be thinking of this while Kimberly's answering, where being a woman was an advantage?
Oh, absolutely. So I have to laugh because, every time you open up an article or you listen to a panel, there's all this advice about how women should act, whether it be, okay, so you need to be more assertive, but not so assertive that you're disliked. And you need to be knowledgeable, but not so much that you threaten others. So here is my simple formula. Just be you. Be your authentic you. Because each one of us, men and women, we have these incredible life experiences that we bring to the workplace. And it's those experiences that lead to diversity of thought and allow us to collaborate together very effectively. And so I found, for me, it's just doing everything that I can to be true to who I am and leverage those amazing experiences that I've had.
Yeah. And Brianna, how about you? And you're, in addition to that, you're younger than many of the folks who are in wealth management.
Yes, I think the way that I was raised, I never looked at disadvantages. I only looked at what I wanted to accomplish, and I won't give up until I accomplish that. I think that resilience has a lot to do with it, and looking for the opportunity when it presents itself. I have had experiences where I could relate to those that have had challenges, but I recover very quickly and I move on. And through that, I've been able to really push boundaries and get recognized, always remaining truthful to myself, being an honest person. If I give someone my word, I never break my word, because I think that's one thing that you'll always have with you, if nothing else. And the more people you do those things for and you keep your word, the more people will vouch for you and look out for you and provide opportunities for you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And so, Brianna, you went off of the corporate ladder and into entrepreneurship. What was the inspiration behind starting Finwell? And tell us a bit more about what you do.
Great. You mentioned that I'm on the younger side in wealth management, and being that I am, I grew up having a lot of technology. So working at the larger organizations, although they have improved significantly, I still found a lot of inefficiencies and some cumbersome with paperwork and things like that, to where it was difficult to do business with my peers and then some. So I decided to look into it more, and also found a gap in the market. So we were used to working with individuals who had at least a minimum of $1 million with us, but my own friends and family who are working hard, earning a good income, didn't have anywhere to go to get quality, unbiased financial advice from an expert. So I founded Finwell and launched it as an employer-provided benefit. So that way people in the workforce could have access to an advisor such as myself to help them plan for their future and not worry about a salesperson just trying to hit sales goals.
No, that's a beautiful dream, and you're making it happen. And so, Kimberly, you were, I believe, the CFO at Zions Bank. Do I have that correct?
The CFO of Larry H. Miller Real Estate. Okay.
And so when I think about the Larry H. Miller Corporation, I think a lot of people think about the auto industry. So tell us a little bit about what the company does and what's your role, and how did you move about within the Larry H. Miller Corporations?
So absolutely, the Larry H. Miller Corporation is a collection of a number of companies. So they have companies in the automotive space. They have 65 dealerships, and they also have a finance company, insurance, which is the current role that I have. I oversee all of their insurance companies. They also own sports and entertainment properties, including the Utah Jazz and a AAA baseball team. So they have a wide variety of companies. And I have to say, it was really interesting because many years ago, I read Sheryl Sandberg's book, Lean In. And the one thing that resonated with me is that your career is not a ladder, it's a jungle gym. And my career up until about 2010 was a textbook ladder of a career. And for those of you who were in banking before and after 2008, you know that banking has changed significantly. And it wasn't too far after 2008 that I went back and got my master's degree. And it was at that point that all the stars were aligned. And a friend of mine who was in the military would say, you know, I wanted to go see what my skills were worth as a civilian. So I decided to make the leap after, you know, so many years at a wonderful local bank, and jumped over to the Larry H. Miller Group, where I've really enjoyed my many career opportunities that I've had there.
Oh, that is amazing, and not an easy set of industries in which to proceed. So are there a lot of women selling cars nowadays, Kimberly? I'm not familiar with that industry.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You'd be very surprised how many women are in the automotive industry, and they're incredibly successful. You have to think of the number of decision makers that are in households today. They're not always your traditional, households. You have both men and women making decisions. And so as a company, we realize that, and we want to make sure that we're catering to anyone who wants to visit one of our properties, purchase a vehicle or whatever, they're doing with our group. So absolutely.
So Brianna, every day I get up, I look at the stock market, and I close the computer again, because it's very, very hard to be invested in the market right now. Talking to somebody who would be concerned about their retirement and possibly is in a middle management role right now, what would your advice be?
My advice is similar regardless of where you are in your financial life. It's really important to create a financial plan so you understand what you're trying to achieve and what risk you're willing to take in order to achieve it during a certain time period. Create the plan, facilitate the plan with professionals, and then let it do its job. It's like putting an address in your navigation. Follow the map. The navigation system is going to understand if there's a traffic jam or a car accident or whatever is the most efficient way to get to your destination. It's when individuals try to hijack the navigation that they end up hurting their plan and not achieving their goals.
Yeah, so taking instructions about directions is a good idea when they take them from you, I would imagine. I think we have a whole bunch of questions which are coming in, so let's see a few of them. I thought I saw one from Dana from Chicago. Did we see that? Oh, there we are. Kimberly, your company's very well. Well, I already asked the question. How did you establish your credibility in the auto insurance area? I think that's a good question to ask.
Oh, well, I would just say we have a simple saying in our organization, and that is taking care of the customer. And whether that's on an individual level or from a corporate level, if you focus on the customer and make that your primary area of focus, everything else kind of falls in place. And so from an insurance standpoint, we've done that very thing, making, products and services that cater to those customers, and then everything else falls in line. And so it's been a really incredible part of the organization to lead.
That's great. I love this question, Brianna. You're going to love it too. It's from Sanjay from San Jose, and he wants to know how you get new customers.
That is as a small business, we rely on organic growth right now. So that comes from referrals of our current clients. When they're at their current organization, they can tell their friends, their spouses. When they change organizations, they refer us into their new HR leadership. And through getting introduced to different people when they ask for this sort of service as an employee benefit. We've been really successful because the customer's recommendation is the best way of getting a new client.
Yeah, so Brianna, do companies bring you in, or is it just individuals who approach you?
We've been approached by both. We're regularly hosting different events and panels about employees and their well-being holistically. And we talk about financial well-being and how important it is when your employees are looking for happiness and stability. And so we work with benefits advisors, we work with HR consultants, we work with the C-suite to design a program that's meant to achieve their specific goals and objectives. So everything we do is customized. Employees regularly refer us into their HR. And if for some reason it's not in their strategic plan, we're able to work with individuals on a one-on-one basis as well.
So that's great. It's really open to so many people. Kimberly, what would you say was a roadblock in your career that you overcame, and what advice would you give to young people who are moving into a career in finance in terms of overcoming barriers?
Well, I've always lived by my own personal mantra of always being a student and also a teacher. So asking the question, no matter where you are in your career, whether you're entry level, whether you're mid-level career, but being a student will create opportunities for you. So my role in insurance was one that I didn't have very much experience in insurance when I was asked to lead this part of the organization. But what I had done is I was always willing to jump in and learn. And I had shown that to the leaders of our organization. And so being a student is so important. And then on the other side, being a teacher, mentoring others along the way. It's a lot of fun to celebrate your success, but only when there's others there to do it with you. You never want to be the person standing on the top of the hill alone. You want to make sure that you're doing everything that you can to bring other people up. And start that early on in your career, and I guarantee you'll be successful in that.
Well, there's no doubt that you've been doing that with EWA. Kimberly is not only on our board, but she's our Chief Financial Officer. We are in very, very good hands. And both Brianna and Kimberly are mentor liaisons for other women that are going through the program. So you certainly do put your money where your mouth is, and I love to see that. There's a question that came up, which I love, which is from Justine from Toronto. And she wants to know whether you'd like to be on a private board in insurance, if it was a private company. And you, I know recently was in the news that you went on a public board. So tell us a little bit about why you want to be on a board at this stage of your career, and what is that experience like for you?
Well, and I think, and this is, I would say Brianna probably feels the same way, that when you have an opportunity to help a company be better, to improve their operations, to refine or to improve their culture. Those are just, they're wonderful experiences. And there's no better way to use your collective years of experience than by serving on a board, whether it be a private board or a public board. I don't know that it necessarily matters. It just depends on your interest. But I've looked at that as an opportunity just simply to be able to help guide other companies to be successful. And so I think, with my broad experience, it's just been something that I've wanted to do.
Yeah, and I think it's a great service, actually, because you can apply your knowledge without having P&L responsibility. You already have a full-time job and many other things that you do. I see a question from Susan, who actually has asked for both of you to answer this. And, from Los Angeles. Hi there, Susan. What is the hardest thing for you during COVID, and how have you dealt with it? So, Brianna, you're in Nashville, which is a fabulous place to be during this pandemic. Tell us how you have dealt with COVID and what was hard and how are you fixing that?
Yes, I'm fortunate enough to be in Nashville, where I do have some close friends that I've been quarantining with. We call it quarantining. So I'm able to have that personal connection with individuals and have the face-to-face conversations. That being said, that's what I miss the most. A lot of my job is getting to know individuals, and I happen to meet a lot of individuals that I wouldn't otherwise meet through being at certain events, being at the coffee shop at a certain time, and starting a small conversation while in line. Those things are not happening as much, and I really miss those situations to where you get to meet someone new.
Yeah, well, listen, it sounds like Nashville is growing and Tennessee is doing great, which is good for you. Kimberly, how about things in Utah? How have you dealt with COVID? What's been a hard thing for you, and how have you overcome it?
Yeah, and along the lines of what Brianna was saying, I think for me, probably the challenge as well has been spontaneous collaboration, where you can just go grab a couple of people on your team and sit around a table and kind of go back and forth on a problem or a challenge that you're dealing with. So I do miss that, although I am getting used to Zoom. So I am adopting that and getting very comfortable with that. But there's still that face-to-face interaction that you miss. But I'll also say I've learned a pretty valuable lesson as well. And I have a very dear friend who was also part of the EWA program, who served in the United States Air Force. And she made a statement that really resonated with me. It's the mantra, which is mission first, people always. And that has really stuck with me during COVID, because I've found that the business will continue to operate. There'll be challenges, but it's taking care of people. And we've all had to adapt, allowing people to work from home where they can take care of their priorities being their families and their health. And I would say I was a traditionalist before that, but I'm really grateful for the experience, because I have completely evolved. And I realize that as you do that, you take care of your people in that way. It actually, they've been incredibly productive. We've been very successful as a company.
Yeah, that's terrific. So our producer, Ryan, is telling me that we have a bunch of other comments and questions that have come in. So while he's typing those in for us, Brianna, you asked me to ask you a funny question, and I'm going to ask it. I have no idea why. How do you like your coffee, and why is knowing that important?
I like my coffee black now because I can really appreciate a good coffee, how it comes. I think that that's important because it's understanding people. A lot of times we have personal connection over something like coffee or tea or maybe wine, and understanding what the other person likes and remembering that goes a really long way when you meet up with them again. So it's the simple, small things that go a long way. Another thing is that it's something I'm so grateful for. A nice cup of coffee makes me so happy. And it reminds me what's really important. And every day I have something to look forward to.
Yes. So Ryan, put up any question that you think is fine. I love that, Brianna, because it is all about gratitude, isn't it? That if you can say thank you for the small things, the big things will hopefully take care of themselves. So it is so important. Oh, here we go. We've got a question as to the panels that you are hosting, Brianna, and hopefully they're virtual. give us some information on that.
Yes. So I regularly post on my LinkedIn of what is going on. Sometimes it's a panel that I'm invited to. Other times it's individuals that are close to me that are on panels discussing issues in the workplace, employee well-being, and trends in financial markets. So if you want to find out where I'll be next, just follow me on LinkedIn and I will regularly update it there.
Oh, great. And everybody should follow you on LinkedIn anyway, because that's the purpose of our situation here, being live on LinkedIn. We want everybody to follow us. So if there are any other questions, Ryan, just put them up there and we'll be happy to answer them. Oh, from Trish Canane, how do you think your business might change post-COVID? Kimberly, give us a few words on that, and then we'll go to you, Brianna.
Oh, yeah, I would go back to what I was saying about working from home. So like I said, I really have been converted to the success of having your team where it works, to be able to have a flexible schedule and work from home. And I feel like being able to have that flexibility, it allows you to attract, different talent and to, change the way that you do business. And so we've already adopted that completely as a company. And so I do see a lot of that will remain even post-COVID, which I think really, again, just caters to the different lifestyles and needs of each employee. So it's a little more employee-centric versus company-centric.
And it's the silver lining. What about you, Brianna?
At Finwell, we started out as a virtual company. It allowed us to create efficiencies and become affordable and accessible to our clients. So internally, we won't change much. We've been used to technology. Everything we do is driven by technology, and that's great. From a business development standpoint, it's going to be harder for us to become known, to stand out amongst the crowd in the virtual world, and to get referrals through different clients and interactions. People are on Zoom most of the day, and so I know that there's a Zoom fatigue or a video discussion fatigue. So that's going to be interesting as we pivot in this new normal with COVID.
Yeah, there's no doubt that that is an issue. For some people, I have heard that actually taking better care of themselves is what's come out of their COVID experience. A quick few seconds from each of you on that. Kimberly, thoughts on that?
Oh, I think that's a very important thing, where especially when we are so bombarded right now with every phone call being through Zoom. I think there's so many people I talk to that say we're so zoomed out. It's so important to step away, to get outside and to, enjoy the outdoors a few times a day, to take breaks and to get some, outdoor activity. And I've found personally, by adopting that over the past year, that's really helped me be able to kind of handle some of the new stresses that I wasn't familiar with before. And like I said, I mean, it certainly has put me in a place where I'm very grateful for, some of the things that have come out of this very, challenging time.
That's great. Brianna, 10 seconds.
It's important to set boundaries when you're working from home. When you work, you work. When you're not working, don't work. Otherwise, the days become very similar, and it's hard to find time to just be with yourself and your loved ones and to detach from technology.
Absolutely perfect. Well, as you can see, we could have a long time to talk and never get enough of these amazing, exceptional women awardees. Thank you so much to both of you, Kimberly Reese and Brianna Stott. And next month, we are going to have another amazing show. This time, we will be featuring Kirsten Curtis, who is going to tell us about a day in the life of a PE, private equity investor, which she does so well, and Sally Drexler, who will tell us all about executive search, where she places high-level executives in media and entertainment and other industry through Odgers-Berndtson, which is a global firm. So please join us when that happens. And in the meantime, I am going to leave you with one question. How have you taken care of yourself during COVID? Have you created an exercise program. And if you have, send us an email at lsiegel@exceptionalwomanawardees.com. I look forward to seeing you all next month. Thank you so much for being with us. We will take the questions we didn't have, hopefully, when you join us next month. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye now.